Hello everyone! This is recent Pleasantview Round 3, episode 27. We are still at Sim State University and we currently only have two playable Sims here, Alexander Goth and Melody Tinker. I was thinking about merging Melody's household with Townie's Plus household, but I eventually chose not to do it because Melody is a shy girl. Why would she want to leave the dormitory where she already knows everyone to move into the dormitory where she doesn't know anyone? It wasn't making sense to me. Of course, it could have saved some time, but to be honest, I'm pretty careless with my time. Regardless of that, I moved Chandler Platts and John Baena into Townie's Plus household. Yes, I still need to change their outfits, of course, and this girl here is also called John Kim. She is just a dormie that I want to join the sorority, because I want to keep at least one Greek house alive on campus. Anyway, here is their household description. Warren is not exactly happy to be reunited with his high school girlfriend. His plan is to talk John into joining the sorority alongside her namesake. Won't Chandler fall under the lusty junior's bad influence? Yeah, that's a question, because Chandler is sort of in love with Lucy Burb, who isn't on campus yet. And now let me read the Trevor House description. After Rosemary Miller's and Meadow Thayer's graduation, the glue that had been keeping the Trevor sorority together seems to have lost its adhesiveness. Vin and Catherine have never been on the best terms, and having a crush, or whatever it is in Catherine's case, on the same professor clearly doesn't help much. Yeah. So aside from Catherine's clear interest in Alexander Goth, she also got quite interested in Vin's professor. Vin brought a professor to the sorority house to sort of improve her grades, and then all of a sudden Catherine approached him and started flirting and so on. So I don't know what will come out of it. Anyway, as usual, we are starting this sub-rotation with Alexander Goth, whose household description didn't change. While asleep, Alexander was still thinking about the unfair university authorities who wanted to challenge him by shortening his time for studying. As for myself, I was thinking about ways to get Alex out of this situation. Alexander, you see, has recently lost his father, so what if he befriended his male professor in hopes of getting a new father figure? This could also help him to improve his class performance, so I concluded that would be a great idea. Meanwhile, Alexander's trash can got knocked over by one of the girls who'd failed to charm him. That's crazy. Luckily, he's got Lindsay to take care of the mess. Speaking of girls, it turned out that Alex had 2 bolts of chemistry with John Baena, but it looked like they'd lost touch with each other over time. On the other hand, he had a pretty high relationship score with Catherine Gregory. Yeah, she'd been really stubborn and he'll want to get closer to him. As Alexander was studying cleaning, the telephone rang, and I thought it was her again, but it turned out to be that mean-looking blonde who couldn't decide between Catherine's looks and Alexander's money. Of course, Alex used his favorite excuse to hang up on her. I need to go to my class now, sorry. That's what he said. And then he called his professor instead. Unfortunately, it seemed like the professor understood Alexander's plan to butter him up at once. That's why Alex got 3 minuses in a row on his class performance meter. Luckily, it was still empty. But eventually, Alexander chose to appeal to the professor's pity, and the chat finally went better. Too bad Alex only got 1 extra plus on the scale. Well, he still had time to get more, especially with his new plan. The plan was to throw a party for the 3 secret society members he knew and also invite Warren Sims, his school friend, Melody, a harmless lesbian from quite a rich family, and the Professor Gavin Knott himself. Of course, everybody came. I'm sure they just wanted to see Alexander's fancy house. Naturally, flirty Warren approached the prettiest of girls straight away. Don Lothario and Castor Nova, beware! Meanwhile, Alexander thanked shy Melody for coming and admired her good grades. Later he talked to the pretty, blue-haired Genesis, who'd shaken Warren off as soon as she'd heard one of his pickup lines. Looks like Genesis is a nerd. No wonder Warren got so excited when a cheerleader in a mini dress ran into the house. By the way, Melody got herself a can of beer from Alexander's fridge. That's Lilith's influence. As for the host, he was working on his class performance by playing chess with Professor Knott. Alex is playful and quite outgoing, so I hid the books when there are more entertaining ways to make Dean's List. I've got the notification that Dina Goth was no longer a family friend, and when I looked for her on Alexander's relationship panel, it turned out she wasn't even there. Looks like our spoiled boy had got quite mad at her for getting 100,000 simoleons from Mortimer and chose to forget about her existence. Serious and shy, Melody still couldn't follow Lilith's advice every time. She isolated herself in the dining room and was doing her assignment. No wonder she was the first to leave the party. Her fun was completely drained and she hated all the noise around. She didn't even taste Alexander's sandwiches. As for Professor Knott, he kept on trying to talk about studying to every party guest, especially to those who didn't seem interested in it. By the end of the party, Alexander managed to catch Samuel upstairs and talk to him. As for the blonde Viola, he'd already talked to her on the phone before the party, so the daily relationship score with all the three Secret Society members was already above 30. And the party score was good time. Because of the party, Alex was late for his class and he had to run there. When he returned, I made him go to University Way shops to play billiards downstairs. And as an ambitious guy, he kept his focus on making Dean's List instead of simply completing his sophomore year. Alexander's almost friend Viola Chen was on that lot too, so he greeted her first. Then I made him gossip with her, but unfortunately it turned out that the only sim Alex could gossip about was his sister Cassandra, who had broken up with Don Lothario 8 years ago. Well, let's hope Alex was mostly dissing Don, not laughing at his sister's fate. And by the way, it turned out that Alex had chemistry with Viola. Uh-oh. Alexander was about to walk into the shop with a pool table in it, when I noticed yet another Secret Society member. I don't know what made me think so, but I somehow was sure that Alex needed 5 friends from the Secret Society to be accepted in it. Sorry, Alex, for wasting your time on this Christian. They didn't even have a decent starting relationship with each other. Anyway, Christian told Alex about some rules of the Secret Society. We should never appear on TV, Alexander. We are secret, you get it? When Alexander's daily relationship score with Christian was over 20, I sent him home without any games. He was already too hungry and tired for billiards. As soon as he got back, I realized my mistake. Because of those few hours on a community lot, Alex now only had 15 hours before his final exam, and his class performance and mood were doing equally bad. Not to mention he needed 2 charisma skill points and would spend around 7 hours sleeping. What had I done? So first I made Alexander watch TV, then he took a bath and went to bed without having any dinner. Yes, keeping up with Alexander's needs turned out to be a real challenge. It had been much easier to play Dirk. When Alex had only 8 hours left, I woke him up to take a quick shower. And I also made him order pizza, because he didn't have any time to cook. Now let's get to Melody again. Her household description has been updated. Melody is all by herself at the dormitory now, and she doesn't feel like changing it. She could have become a sorority girl by now, but not with Catherine being so mad at her. Luckily, she's already a senior and she knows she won't need anyone's help to cope with stress. Turned out Lilith had influenced Melody more than I thought. Not only she started drinking beer, but also rolled the wand to learn physiology, most likely to be ready when someone offers to have a woohoo next time. You know, guys, this game is so unfair sometimes. I want Alex to graduate with honors, but his needs are always low and he never gets a chance to go to his class twice. At the same time, I don't want Melody to graduate with honors, but she's always in a fantastic mood, her classes take place at the most convenient hours, and she always gets over 40 hours before her exams. And she also lives in a dormitory where her meals are cooked for her. Speaking of Alexander, Melody's attitude to him was a bit worse than his attitude to her. I guess Melody still felt a little insulted that Alex had thought she'd wanted to seduce him. Melody's ex Catherine walked by the dormitory. I thought she wanted to kick the trash can again, but apparently she'd already forgotten about Melody completely. All her thoughts were about Alexander. Melody had solid 24 hours before her final exam, and I had no idea what to do with her, so I made her clean the entire dormitory. Just look at all the books and puddles on the floor. I can't wait to renovate this place. I discovered that Melody was afraid that Catherine might die. She either still had some feelings left or just didn't want to leave Catherine behind on such a bad note. As Melody had way too much time left on campus, I realized I needed to make her go to a community lot. By the way, isn't it weird that the only communal chess table in Sim State is behind University Way shops and the only source of entertainment on the central quad is a coffee machine? Too bad I will only start renovating this neighborhood after the next round. Wow, the dormitory had never been that clean before. And Melody was super excited to mop the floor. She is way too hardworking for a girl from a rich family. Then the telephone rang and it turned out to be that boring-looking nerd who'd used to call Lilith. But that time he was calling Melody herself. Looks like most students considered him a loser, that's why he was trying to make friends with other outcasts so hard. But in spite of Melody's good mood and high relationship score with that guy, I made her hang up on him. She needed to go to her class. After Melody's class, she finally reached that point where her fun wasn't high anymore, so I sent her to University Way shops to play chess again. There we found out that Warren Sims liked Alexander's friend Viola Chen. Now I'm wondering what aspiration she might have. Most likely it's popularity, as she has chemistry with both Alex, a fortune sim, and Warren, a romance sim. As for Melody, she recognized Warren as a guy from her school in Bluewater Village, so she asked him to play chess with her. But the moment Warren realized Melody was a lesbian, he chose not to waste his time and left her. Melody had to continue playing chess in solitude. She didn't get the skill point though. Back at Pinot Plaza, we saw Chandler Platts jog by. I guess he wanted to impress Lucy with his body, knowing that she'd worked in the athletic career. Melody felt bored again and went to take out trash on her own. Well, thank you, Melody, for keeping the dormitory clean, but when I get down to renovating the entire Sim State, I will most likely get rid of all the old furniture anyway. Wanda stopped being Melody's friend again. Hey, Mrs. Tinker, your daughter just called you in the previous episode. What else do you need? Anyway, eventually Melody got so sick of cleaning everything that she rolled a wand to influence someone else to do it instead. Sorry, girl, you don't have enough influence points. You really should restore the friendship with your mother and Kyoshi first. So after Melody had her lunch, she called Kyoshi indeed, and they discussed all his bright and not so bright prospects in life. Melody's own prospects will surely be better than Kyoshi's, as she will 100% graduate. And yet it turned out that I'd been miscalculating Melody's hours until final exam. She would take it early in the morning, and that meant she would never go to her class again and needed a logic skill point ASAP. By the way, look at this girl getting mad for no reason. I guess it's because Alexander didn't want to talk to her even. Blonde hair, tan skin. Well done, Alex, well done. While Melody was stargazing in the evening, I was wondering what grade she could get with her class performance. I really hoped it would be a B or a B minus. It finally got snowy on the dormitory lot, only after Dirk's departure. He should be called Dirk Dreamer the Snowmaster. Melody got the necessary skill point but got frozen in the process. Hopefully she won't catch a cold before her final exam. I noticed that the dormies that had looked like a couple last episode were avoiding each other. Most likely the guy had heard that his crush had done a public woohoo with Warren Sims the other day. And that girl also got dissed by Melody herself. As a shy girl from a religious family, she clearly disapproved of the idea of showing off one's legs or chest all the time. Melody only had a few hours before her final exam when she went to bed, but I wasn't worrying about her, I was worrying about Alexander. Maybe I had picked a wrong major for him after all. He seems to be too cold and logical for psychology. On the other hand, studying charisma is always useful for a rich sim. Even an educated and unemployed Dina has a few charisma skill points. Melody woke up and went straight to her final exam. Don't do too well, please. Now I will play the Trivar sorority and the Townies Plus household, and then I'll be back for the second sub-rotation with Alex and Melody. I've just finished playing the Trivar sorority and Townies Plus household, and it was quite enjoyable, I need to say. Looks like Catherine will be put on academic probation because she simply cannot focus on her studies, and she eventually had a fight over that professor with her fellow sorority sister Vin. It was a physical fight even, and Catherine lost, unfortunately. Also, Joan Kim from Townies Plus household successfully joined the sorority, and as for Townies Plus household, yes, as you can see, changed everyone's outfits. Warren was making his girlfriend Joan write his term papers, that was something. And now we are going back to Alexander. The moment I loaded Alexander's lot, I got a major anxiety attack. Why hadn't I wake him up earlier? He still needed 2 charisma skill points, and his class performance meter was on the emptier side. Of course, he also had a want to influence someone to do his assignment, but he clearly didn't have any time to invite anyone over. Unless he made the pizza lady do it, of course, but I don't think that would be possible. Apparently, Alexander was super hungry, that's why he ran downstairs to get his pizza as soon as possible. But Marie Matza wasted some precious time talking to Vin Hanby while delivering another pizza to the sorority house. And Alex himself wasted some more, smelling the pizza instead of eating it straight away. By the way, after the delivery he only had 41 simoleons left. Looks like one really needs to have a job to afford living in the lap of luxury. While Alexander was gobbling up his pizza, I remembered that he should have actually had 1 skill point of charisma, because I had totally made him practice speech once while he was still at school. He'd been using the mirror in Mortimer and Dina's bathroom back then. Anyway, after he had his second slice of pizza, someone started calling him on the phone, but naturally he was too busy to answer. And luckily my suspicions turned out to be correct. His first charisma skill point was already almost there. But it still took him 1 hour and a half to get the second one, and right after that I made him do his assignment. I love that Alexander always does his assignment in the dining room. That's a beautiful spot. But his life was still quite a rat race. After doing his assignment, he grabbed one more slice of pizza and ran upstairs to watch some TV before his exam. Had his aspiration level been higher, I wouldn't have been so worried, but oh no, Alexander had too little money to afford paying his maid, so to make the day even worse, she took one of the pictures in his living room as a compensation. And this is the end of the footage. Of course, I did play Alexander till next morning as usual, and I also played Melody till she left university. But I was foolish enough to save the game and the video file at exactly the same moment, and everything froze. I waited and waited and waited, and then my computer restarted itself. The game managed to get saved, but the video file got damaged and I lost about 30 minutes of gameplay filmed. Of course, my first thought was to replay the lost parts, but then I realized that the latest backup file I had been made before I had started filming this episode. And as I spent over 3 hours playing the local half-playables only, and the unique outcomes I got with them would unlikely repeat themselves, I chose not to replay anything. So here you go. Recent Pleasantview Round 3, Episode 27, Part 2, in awkward drawings, ancient memes, and not-so-relevant screenshots. Alexander returned from his final exam with a B+ and 800 simoleons. No wonder his first move was to build a snowman to bust its head open. And yet the university authorities finally showed some mercy that time and gave Alex 41 hours to study for his next exam. As much as Alexander was mad at the entire world, he wanted to seem cool and optimistic, so he threw another party where he invited the old bunch plus Christian from the secret society, Warren's girlfriend Joan Baena, whom he had recently caught up with while I was playing the sorority, and even Professor Knott, who needed to learn they will never break Alexander's will to win. During the party, Alexander was doing his best to pretend he didn't care about his grade and was smiling to his professor as if nothing had happened. And he also almost became friends with Samuel and Viola. As for the rest of the guests, Warren and John were making out in the middle of the living room, Genesis was playing chess with Professor Knott, Melody and Christian were studying, and as a result were the first to leave the party. By the way, Melody didn't drink beer that time. I guess she didn't like the hangover after she'd hit the bar in the campus lounge the other day. Sometime later, Joan began to read a textbook too, while her boyfriend Warren was watching TV and eating a slice of rotten pizza. What did she find in him? By the way, Alexander has 2 bolts of chemistry with Joan, but she is clearly madly in love with Warren. He is everything she wants to talk about. When the party was over, tired and hungry, Alex was left in a pigsty to drink the unfinished beer from the cans scattered about the first floor. He took a quick shower and then practiced his speech until he got half of the only charisma skill point he needed to maximize his class performance meter. And the final positive news in Alexander's life so far was that he'd finally rebuffed Catherine, who'd attempted to flirt with him while I'd been playing the Trevor house. Now let's get back to Melody. I have no idea how she did that, but she managed to get an A- on her exam, which made her final GPA 3.7. Yes, she graduated with honors after all. Being in a super good mood, she even dared to play red hands with the black freshman Lilith had danced with, but he ignored her. Melody might be successful, but she wasn't cool enough for that dude, so she had to chat on the phone with the red-haired loser again. After that, Melody called her father Steven to tell him about her GPA, but he immediately offered her to work in their toy shop and also asked her about who she was mixing up with. Melody got really annoyed. Speaking of Steven's question, Catherine had called Melody off camera to clear the air, and as a result Melody lost her crush on Catherine. The latter had been really unlucky lately. Anyway, the biggest irony in this half of the episode is that Alexander, who'd been getting straight A's at school, and private school is tougher, got heavily criticized by his college professors, while Melody, who'd been struggling with the school program and had eventually started getting D's, made a good impression on the college authorities. This is how our Sims' personal relationships can impact their lives. Melody had been hated at school, Alex is hated now, but the result is the same – bad grades. Overall, I played Melody till 3 p.m. and sent her back to Pleasantview. She put on one of Angela's tops and Jane's pants. Hey game, no spoilers please! So here I am on SimState neighborhood screen. Again, I'm really sorry that I lost quite a big chunk of the footage like that. But, well, what can I say? Bad things happen sometimes. And this episode, they happened to Alexander. Again. By the looks of it, he will never graduate with the highest possible GPA. And this is really upsetting to me because I really wanted him to graduate with 4.0, but alas. But even if he graduates with, let's say, 3.8, this will still be really cool, and we can always say that Castronova only graduated with the highest possible GPA because of his looks. By the way, we even saw an elderly female professor admire him, so who knows? As for Melody, I heavily suspect that she was actually being treated unfairly both times, at school and here at university. Only back then it worked against her, and here on the contrary it worked in her favor. I personally see Melody being on Dirk's level of intelligence. 3.7 is still a bit too much for me. Who knows, maybe she really made friends with her professors here at university. Maybe they were big Mortimer Goth admirers. Well, by the way, that would explain why Alexander does not get along with his professors. Mathematics is a bit closer to biology that Mortimer had been studying in his youth, and psychology is clearly too far away, and no one in his department had ever knew Mortimer personally. And I've also just finished playing my half-playables, and Catherine got put on academic probation. I cannot blame her, life had been really tough for her in the last few months. She not only ruined her relationship with Melody, but also got constantly rejected by Alexander, all her flirts were rejected, all her moves were rejected, and also that fight over Vince's professor. Of course, she got distracted. And as for Townie's Plus household, Warren finally decided to spare his girlfriend Joanne and ordered a random dormie to write his term paper that time. And as for Chandler and Joanne, they got A- on their final exam and they are doing just fine. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, regardless of the drawings part, and I'll see you all in the next one, where we'll see Lucy Burb go to college. Bye!